If humiliation had a face, it was my mother's smirk as I stepped into the ballroom, clutching a small purse like it was armor. I'm Avery Cole, 24, underpaid, and overjudged by my entire family. Tonight was my brother Noah's wedding, and I'd promised myself I'd stay calm, no matter what they threw at me. That lasted 30 seconds. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us, what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. Avery. Mom's tone carried the kind of surprise that dripped with sarcasm. You actually came? Her pearl necklace glimmered under the chandeliers. My cousin Madison snickered behind her. Guess the catering staff needed backup. I ignored them. Where's my seat? Mom plucked a card from the table. Garden patio. Next to the side exit. My stomach dropped. Outside. She smiled sweetly. You like space, don't you? And there it was. The humiliation, neatly packaged in calligraphy and wrapped with cruelty. I took the card anyway and walked through the laughter. When I reached the patio, I saw it. A single metal chair by the restroom door, a napkin flapping in the wind. No centerpiece. No plate. No dignity. Through the glass, my family laughed around golden tables, their champagne glasses sparkling. I sat alone beside the faint smell of cleaning chemicals and roses. My phone buzzed. Ethan Ward, just arrived. You sure you're okay with this? I stared at the message. Ethan wasn't just anyone. To the world, he was a real estate prodigy worth billions. To me, he was the quiet man who'd once helped me pick up spilled coffee at a networking event. Since then, we'd become something undefined, something safe. They sat me outside, next to the restroom. A pause. Then, Ethan, stay where you are. My heart kicked hard in my chest. I didn't move. The ballroom doors opened, and Ethan stepped through, tall, confident, in a charcoal suit that made every head turn. He spotted me instantly. Avery. His voice was low, warm. You look incredible. I let out a short laugh. I'm sitting by a trash can. He smiled faintly. Then let's change that. Before I could protest, he held out his hand. Inside, the DJ called for everyone to take their seats. My family was still laughing, oblivious. I hesitated, every humiliation I'd swallowed over the years weighing on me, then slipped my hand into his. We walked through the ballroom doors together. Conversations faltered. Forks froze midair. My mother's smile vanished as her eyes darted between Ethan's hand and mine. We stopped beside her table. Excuse me, Ethan said, calm but firm. There's been a mistake. Avery's seat isn't outside. Mom blinked rapidly. I'm sorry, who are you? Ethan turned slightly, giving her a polite smile that didn't reach his eyes. Ethan Ward. The name rippled through the room like a dropped glass. I caught the exact second Madison's smirk died. Ward, Dad stammered. As in, the one whose company built this hotel, Ethan said smoothly. Yes. That one. Gasps followed. People started whispering. Cameras discreetly lifted. My cheeks burned, but not from shame this time. Ethan tightened his grip around my hand. I came to see Avery, but I didn't expect her to be seated near the facilities. The silence stretched. My mother tried to laugh it off. Oh, that must be a mix-up. We just thought she'd prefer quiet. Ethan tilted his head. Quiet. He looked directly at her. Or hidden. The air went razor-sharp. I could see the panic flicker in my parents' eyes, the realization of who they had just humiliated. Ethan finally smiled. Avery, shall we? I nodded, heart pounding. We turned and walked out together. Every eye followed. No one dared speak until the doors closed behind us. 10 minutes later, those same doors burst open again. But this time, they were the ones screaming. When we stepped into the cool night air, I finally exhaled. The muffled music and chatter faded behind us, replaced by the city's hum and the rustle of the ocean breeze from the nearby bay. Ethan still hadn't let go of my hand. You handled that well, he said softly. I didn't do anything, I murmured. You just walked in and turned their world upside down. He smiled faintly. They deserved it. My pulse was still racing. You shouldn't have done that, Ethan. My family, they'll twist it into something else. Good, he replied, slipping his hand into his pocket. Maybe it's time they see you for who you are, not who they decided you were. We stopped by his sleek black Bentley parked under the hotel's front lights. I could see guests peering through the glass windows, faces pale with confusion. Some had already pulled out their phones. Ethan opened the door for me. Get in, Avery. Let them wonder. I hesitated, glancing back at the ballroom. My father had stepped outside, scanning the lot as if trying to make sense of everything. He spotted us. Avery, what are you doing? Ethan leaned against the car, voice calm but cutting through the night. Leaving. Dad's jaw tightened. With him? Do you even know who? Ethan smirked. You might want to Google it. Dad froze, realizing just how badly they'd miscalculated. I climbed into the car. As the engine purred to life, Ethan's gaze softened. You okay? I'm not sure, I admitted, my voice trembling. I've been invisible for so long. Now, everyone's staring. They'll stare for the right reasons now, he said, pulling away from the curb. The drive was quiet, city lights flickering across the windshield. I couldn't help replaying every cruel laugh from the wedding, my mother's smirk, my brother's mockery, the way they'd made me feel like an outcast. Ethan reached over, his hand brushing mine. You didn't deserve that. You never have. I looked at him. You don't even know half of it. Then tell me. So I did. I told him everything. How my parents favored my brother since childhood. How they'd laughed when I tried to start my small design business. How they'd said I'd never make it without their help. Ethan listened quietly, eyes on the road. When I finished, he said, You're stronger than them. And they're about to find out just how strong. Before I could ask what he meant, his phone buzzed. He put it on speaker. A male voice said, Mr. Ward, the final contract transfer went through this evening. Cole Properties is officially under your ownership. I blinked. Wait, what? Ethan glanced at me, a hint of mischief in his eyes. You said your family's real estate firm made your life miserable. So I bought it. My jaw dropped. You bought my family's company? He nodded casually. Business decision. They were in debt, and I made a fair offer. But don't worry, I have plans for it. I couldn't speak. 100 emotions collided inside me, disbelief, fear, and something dangerously close to satisfaction. He parked near the waterfront, city lights shimmering on the water. Tomorrow morning, there's a board meeting, he said quietly. Your name will be on that list. You'll be stepping in as the new creative director. I turned to him, completely stunned. You're giving me a job? Not just a job, he said, smiling. A seat at the table. You earned it long before tonight. They just refused to see it. Tears burned my eyes. Ethan, why are you doing this for me? He met my gaze. Because I believe in you. And because watching you sit outside tonight reminded me of every time I was underestimated too. I bit my lip, the weight of the moment sinking in. They're going to lose their minds when they find out. He chuckled softly. Oh, they already have. I got 5 missed calls from your mother before we left the parking lot. That made me laugh, really laugh, for the first time that night. Ethan leaned back, looking out at the skyline. You deserve peace, Avery. But if revenge helps you get there, maybe that's okay too. I stared at the glittering water, feeling something shift inside me, not just anger, but clarity. For once, I wasn't the forgotten daughter sitting by the restroom. Tomorrow, they'd see me walk into that boardroom and realize the girl they mocked was now holding everything they once owned. I smiled faintly, whispering to myself, let them scream. The next morning, I woke to the sound of my phone buzzing relentlessly. Dozens of messages, missed calls, and family group notifications filled my screen. Mom, Avery, what did you do? Dad, you embarrassed us in front of everyone. Noah, you're unbelievable. Stay out of family matters. I scrolled through them in silence, the sunlight spilling across my apartment floor. Their panic almost felt musical. Ethan's name flashed next. Ready. He was already downstairs waiting in the Bentley. When I stepped out, the breeze tugged at my hair, and for once, I felt light, free. I wore a crisp navy suit, simple jewelry, and confidence that didn't need anyone's permission. As we pulled up to the Cole Properties building, the irony hit me. My last name still gleamed on the tall glass facade. For years, I'd walked past this building feeling small. Today, I was walking in. The security guard nearly choked when he saw Ethan. "Good morning, Mr. Ward," he said quickly. Ethan smiled, resting a hand on my back. "She's with me." Inside, the lobby buzzed with confusion. Employees whispered, phones rang, and people darted between offices. My father's assistant nearly dropped her coffee when she saw me. "Miss Cole, I didn't expect." "You will," I said softly, walking past her. Upstairs, the boardroom doors were already open. My parents, my brother Noah, and half a dozen executives sat around the table, pale, nervous, waiting. Dad rose halfway from his chair, voice sharp. "Avery, this isn't the time. We're in the middle of a meeting." Ethan entered behind me, adjusting his cufflinks. "Good. Then let's begin." The air froze. My mother's face drained of color. You can't just walk in here." "I can," Ethan replied smoothly. "I own the majority of this company now, which means this meeting is mine to run." Murmurs rippled across the table. Noah's expression twisted. "You can't do that. This is our family business." Ethan smiled coolly. "Was. Until your father took too many loans and defaulted. I simply acquired what was already falling apart." Dad's hands slammed against the table. "You think you can waltz in here and—" Ethan cut him off with a glance that could slice steel. "I don't think. I did. And as my first official action, I'm appointing Avery Cole as creative director effective immediately." Every head turned toward me. Mom's voice shook. "You're joking." Ethan looked at her calmly. "Do I look like I'm joking?" The silence that followed was delicious. I stepped forward, placing my folder on the table. "I've been building design proposals for months," I said, keeping my tone even. "Ideas you all laughed at when I showed you. But those ideas just landed our first collaboration with Ward Enterprises." Ethan nodded. "A multi-million-dollar contract." Noah's jaw dropped. "What?" I looked at him, finally meeting his glare. "That's what I was doing while you were planning a wedding. Working." Mom blinked rapidly, words failing her. "Avery, this is absurd." I leaned closer, my voice quiet but firm. "What's absurd is how you made your own daughter sit outside by a restroom at a family event. What's absurd is how you underestimated me for years." But the funny thing about being underestimated, I smiled faintly, it makes success so much sweeter. Ethan looked at me proudly. "You've earned every bit of this, Avery." I nodded, my heart pounding. "Now, let's talk about restructuring. I think it's time the Cole name stands for something honest." Dad sank into his chair, defeated. "You've destroyed everything." I shook my head slowly. "No. You did that when you made your own family feel disposable." The room fell silent. Even the ticking clock sounded distant. Then Ethan turned to me, his expression softening. "Shall we wrap this up?" I smiled. "Yes. I think we've made our point." We walked out together, leaving the stunned room behind. Outside, the staff stared, whispers following us down the corridor. "That's her. The girl from the wedding. She's with him." Ethan held the elevator door for me. "You handled that perfectly." "I thought I'd be shaking," I admitted, exhaling slowly. "But I feel peaceful." He smiled. "That's what happens when you take your power back." The elevator doors closed, and for a moment, it was just us. Silence, reflection, victory. As the elevator descended, my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't anger, it was an apology. "Mom, Avery, we didn't mean to hurt you. Please, let's talk." I stared at the message for a long time. My chest ached, not with resentment, but with something quieter. Closure. Ethan noticed. "You don't have to reply right now." I nodded. "I know." Then I smiled faintly. They'll figure out who I am eventually. Not the girl outside the restroom, but the woman who walked away. Ethan grinned and walked straight into her power. I laughed softly. Exactly. As the elevator doors opened to the ground floor, the morning sun poured in. For the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen. And somewhere, back at that wedding hall, my family was still reeling, wondering how everything they'd mocked had turned into everything they'd lost. The following weekend, I received another invitation, but this time, it wasn't a wedding or some pretentious family gathering. It was a formal dinner hosted by Ward Enterprises to announce a joint venture between Ethan's company and mine. When I arrived, the ballroom lights glimmered just like before, but this time, I wasn't walking in alone. Ethan was beside me, his hand resting gently on my back. People turned as we entered. The same people who'd once ignored me now stood to greet me with nervous smiles. Even my parents were there. They looked smaller somehow, quieter. Mom clutched her champagne glass too tightly. Dad's forced grin didn't reach his eyes. Ethan leaned toward me. You ready for this? I smirked. More than ever. The host took the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the visionary behind the upcoming redevelopment of the Cole Properties project, Ms. Avery Cole. Applause erupted. I took the mic, scanning the room. My family sat in the front row, frozen. I grew up hearing that I was the quiet one, the ordinary one. I began. And for a long time, I believed it. But sometimes, silence doesn't mean weakness. It's the space where strength grows. A hush fell over the crowd. When I walked out of that wedding, I continued, I thought I was walking away from humiliation. Turns out, I was walking toward purpose. Ethan smiled at me from the side, proud. Tonight isn't about revenge, I said, glancing at my parents. It's about learning who deserves a seat at your table and who doesn't. Applause filled the hall again, louder this time. I saw Mom's eyes glisten as she lowered her gaze. After the event, she approached me hesitantly. Avery, you were incredible tonight. I took a slow breath. Thanks. Her voice wavered. We made mistakes. I made mistakes. You didn't deserve how we treated you. For a moment, the weight of years pressed against my chest. Every insult, every dismissal. But I wasn't that girl anymore. I know, Mom, I said softly. But sometimes losing someone's respect is the price of finally gaining your own. She nodded, speechless. Ethan walked over, slipping an arm around me. Everything okay? Yeah, I said with a small smile. It's finally over. We stepped outside into the cool night. The city lights reflected off the nearby river, golden, steady, alive. Ethan handed me his jacket. You handled that like a queen. I laughed. I feel like one. He looked at me for a long moment. You've built something amazing, Avery. I just helped you see it. I smiled back. And you did more than that. He tilted his head, curious. What's that? You reminded me that no one can seat me outside my own story. He grinned. I like that. As the limo pulled up, I glanced one last time at the glittering hotel, the same kind of place that once made me feel small. Not anymore. I turned toward Ethan and said quietly, Let's go home. He smiled, opening the door for me. Where you belong. And as the city lights blurred past the window, I realized something. The best revenge wasn't the public humiliation of those who once mocked me. It was peace, confidence, freedom. I had all three now. And this time, no one could take my seat again.